So,
Hello.
hey,
There we are.
I think
Okay.
we're live. Are we live right now?
So, yeah,
We're
sorry
learning
about
on the
that.
fly here.
Yeah. I think
It'll
there
be
was a
all
reason
right. Though.
to have you backstage without going live.
Yeah,
I
I don't wonder if you. It says you're live right now, so I don't know.
yeah, I think yeah, because I have it pulled up here on YouTube on my iPad. So yeah, I think we are
We are live. Yeah, we're live right now.
cool.
So let's go.
So yeah, if anyone who is watching hasn't caught on by now, we are in the process of learning all this. This is my first live stream with somebody else, so um,
Hey,
I will say I think that my link on my Instagram it was linked to the old live stream, so yeah. But so hopefully people are able to join on this one. But let me know in the comment things sound fine. Slash if it's working for other people. It says 6 people are watching right now.
I
Yeah.
think I think you're breaking up a little bit, though. From my side, anyway.
Okay. Let's see. My wife says like there's an echo.
There's an echo.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you have speakers on your side?
Yeah, I turned the echo cancellation on.
Okay.
I wonder if my audio is too loud, but yeah.
Let's see. I wonder if it's on my end. Let me try.
I think we're okay now.
Okay. Hopefully that's better.
Everybody watching. This is gonna be fun, I promise. We'll do this together.
Cool.
Yeah, I realized something right at the last minute that I like. I had a phone app. I don't know how that would work necessarily, but I assume StreamYard. I know this is the first time you've done a live stream, so like it's a learning process. We'll definitely get it together, and you will have fun with these. Once you've done enough of them, it'll be okay. It'll be okay. So this is it's a fun experience.
Oh yeah.
First time out, after you do it for a while, then you'll be a pro at it, and you'll have more people on, and it'll be really fun. I mean, once you after the first time, but so I think we're all right now. So I think you're there. I can hear you fine now. I put the echo cancellation on the StreamYard, so I think I'll probably fix that part. Does your wife know? Does it sound okay to her now? There you go.
Yes. Okay. There we go. Let me
Now
change this around too.
Now you're on full screen.
Sweet. Okay. So sorry everyone for all of the technical things. It's always fun. At the last minute, everything just not working. But that's
I tried to get
so,
on 20 minutes early, and then somehow it still just kind of fell apart. But like it's their first time for everything, and it's perfect after you do these enough time that it's. I think you're probably new to StreamYard. I think.
Yeah. I was in a live stream last week, I think, for the first time. I was on their channel.
Right.
And so I use SteamYard at that point, but this is still a learning curve for me to set up. So but I guess we'll just jump right into this live stream now that there was a little bit of a couple hurdles to get over. But so obviously of my viewers, like, this is not the normal live stream that IOs do. I usually do these just by myself, but today I am joined here by Steve. Is it right?
I'm Steve. Yep.
And so why don't you go ahead and just talk a little bit about your channel and like what do you do over on your end?
So yeah, my channel is called Excelsior Movie Reviews. You can just see it just says Excelsior. I took that off because if you put the banner from where I'm sitting here, my it's like up here, so I just made it just one. So I just call it Excelsior. But I've been on YouTube since basically since 2021. I started like in January 2021, but didn't really start putting content on my channel consistently actually having like a weekly kind of content kind of thing until like April of 2021. So my channel's grown very slowly, but I do a lot of like ranking videos. I've only used StreamYard to do to give away digital codes in my channel. I like to do that like once or twice a month, where I just have people sign up for digital codes, and I don't have anybody on it. It just mean I have people watching, but nobody. I'm not. It's not. It's one thing that I just get on maybe like 15 minutes and just do like a show a wheel and have names on a wheel and spin the wheel and announce like a couple winners, and that's all I do. But then people do watch when I'm live, and I answer questions, that kind of stuff. But it's usually not planned at all. It's just like these like Saturday nights, late at night, and I just want to give these codes away, and maybe answer some questions, and then I'm off get off about 15 to 20 minutes. I'm done. So, but yes, yeah, I've done like Zoom. I've had guests that we haven't done live. I usually record Zoom meetings and then do like editing on it, and then put all these bells and whistles on it, and then get it edited nice and neat, and then show it that way. But I've never done StreamYard either, so I definitely I know how you feel. Like it's just not something easy, and anyone that hasn't done it before will definitely know that it's not easy to link people up, and so I think that's normal, and yeah, and you'll be a pro at it. Next time you do it, you'll be even better at it, and have people on. It's really nice to be able to connect to other people on YouTube, just to kind of get to know people, and you develop friendships with people, and kind of rapport with your people you have on your streams, and then all of a sudden it becomes a lot more fun, and you can get a lot more subscribers that way. And it's nice to be able to talk to people about movies and Criterion. That's one big thing that you're into a lot of. I can see your Criterion's out there to your right there. I have my Criterion's over here behind me, and you have a lot more than I do. I think you have about 600 Criterions. So, and I actually have notes here. I've got some questions that I want to talk about. So
yeah, I have some as well.
Yeah, so it's always nice to I'm not a great interviewer at all, but I like to riff with other people and kind of play off of each other's questions and that kind of stuff, and you can have a lot of fun doing that way.
Oh yeah. So I guess like through all this this whole live stream, this is going to be kind of just like a conversation between you and me, and if people want to ask things in the comments, I have yet to see any comments pop up, so I don't know if they're working or not. So hopefully that's working, but just trying to look on the iPad. I don't know if comments are even turned on, but yeah, so if the comments are working, great. If not, we'll have that working next time. But I guess we'll just kind of talk movies, talk Criterion. I have a few things here. Obviously Criterion is because I know we've talked a little bit on Instagram with Criterion and stuff, and I know you like oh, there we go. Here's comments. And I know you like Criterion. I know obviously I like Criterion. We recently got some new titles announced. I think it was actually this last week, and so we can talk about that. But I guess starting off I guess we can just kind of go back and forth asking questions, and just kind of go from there. So I want it to be more of this like a chill, relaxed, conversation, nothing too formal, but yeah. So I'm curious, what is your favorite Criterion release?
I like Seven Samurai. That's one of my favorites. 12 Angry Men. Some of the really popular ones, the Seventh Seal I actually liked a lot, and I know some people that didn't like that all that much. But it's in Swedish, but you can watch it. I've watched it like 3 different ways. So you can watch it in the actual Swedish language. You can watch it with English dub, which a lot of people tell you not to do that with movies, but and you can watch it with commentary. And that movie, you can get so much out of it if you know the history of the Seventh Seal. That whole thing at the end, I don't want to spoil it, but that whole thing at the end I thought was really eerie, and it's just if you understand the concept that sometimes watching foreign language films, you have to kind of get better at reading subtitles and kind of getting into it. But that movie, it wasn't quite what I thought it would be, but I kind of enjoyed it every time I watched it. What are some of your favorites?
Um, hmm. I always have to like reference my wall because I always forget.
Right,
Um,
right.
I would say I really like the Before trilogy.
Oh yeah,
That was
right,
probably one of my earlier pickups.
right. Yeah,
But let me think. Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
I really like
Really.
The Killer and
Right.
oh yeah, I like The Killer and Hard Boiled.
Hmm.
Which it would be great if we got those on Blu-ray at least.
Right.
Um, but I don't know. I really like anything Stanley Kubrick, and so I have
Yep.
all of his films too. David Lynch is another one. Pretty much anything that he's put out, I really enjoy. So,
Right.
um, yeah, I definitely like. I don't know. I love. Oh, there was one that's I've talked about this a few times on this channel already. But Contempt.
All
This is
right.
out of print, but I don't know what it is, but I really just enjoy this film. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, do you have um do you have the Seventh Seal on 4K? Because I know that recently.
No, actually,
Okay.
I bought the seven. You can buy it in an England Bergman box set, but like one day I happened to see I saw it used at actually the exchange, which I was going to talk to you about. That's a
Okay.
Ohio based company.
Hmm.
We only have two exchange locations in Indianapolis.
Okay.
And I just happened to see it one day, and I actually had been there for like a month or so, and I picked it up, and then I think like literally like the following week they announced the 4K release of it. So at that point, so I already bought the Blu-ray, so I'm
Yeah.
okay with the Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Um, there's quite a few Criterions that I own on Blu-ray that I don't know if I would actually upgrade to 4K at any point. I
Mm,
think one movie that I would like to get on 4K is Barry Lyndon.
mm,
That's one of the few Barry Lyndon here. Have them all kind of laid out right to my left here, but
mm.
I think this movie could use, I think, 4K treatment
Oh yeah.
because I used to own this on the Warner Brothers release.
Okay.
And one thing I noticed, I like the Criterion quite a bit, but on the Warner Brothers release, they had like I noticed like the soldiers, like their uniforms, the reds and blues were they really amped up the color on those. And then
Hmm.
when I watched it on Criterion Blu-ray, I thought that they were kind of saturated a little bit. They didn't pop quite as much. So that
Hmm.
was kind of a letdown. How it kind of I like the special features on this a lot more, and I'm glad I own this. But I think if they release this on 4K, I think they would really add to it. Add to the colors and make
Oh
it look
yeah.
a little bit nicer. But I really like this. The Criterion release of it though.
Yeah. That was actually that movie like inspired one of my last videos of talking about like Criterion that I think should get 4K upgrades. So I figured Barry Lyndon would probably be pretty high up on most people's lists to get a 4K. So
Mhm.
um, yeah, I don't know how much of a Stanley Kubrick fan you are, but I don't know if you saw Fear and Desire recently got a
Yep.
4K
Mine's
upgrade.
mine's coming right now through Amazon. I have that
Mm,
ordered. I had the other Kino Lover release of that, but
mhm.
one thing that disappointed me about that is that in the US they didn't give you all the special features that the ones that they did in the UK,
Okay.
and the cover was different.
Mhm.
This the new 4K Blu-ray release, it has everything on it. There's like a couple of special features that you can find on YouTube.
Mhm.
Real kind of basic kind of stuff. Stuff like short films that he did before he started. He started his
Mhm.
film career, but I was disappointed that we didn't get those. Get those on our end. So
Yeah. Yeah. I still need to order mine. But um, yeah, I mean, I have all the other Kino Lorber like 4Ks that they've released of his films of Pass the Glory and The Killer and
wow,
Killer's Kiss and stuff. So um, that's like one director that I will whatever if they release 4Ks of anything, I'm gonna buy upgrade everything of his because I feel like it'd be worth it. But
wow.
um, yeah, I really I wish. I mean, I'm happy to see that films. I mean, I guess we can talk about the recent announcements either now or later, but
Yep.
older films getting newer upgrades is nice to see. But um, yeah,
Yeah. What they recently Anatomy of a Fall, I think, was announced on Criterion, which
Mm.
I saw that in the theater like a month, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Oh, that was pretty good. And then that was like the ninth movie I need to see as far as Oscar nominated movies. And then I saw a couple weeks ago, I saw the Zone of Interest, which is like all German language film. Anatomy of a Fall was like partial English and French, I believe.
Mm.
Um, so I enjoyed that a little bit more. Anybody that's seen the Zone of Interest, it's a really kind of a dark story, and it's all, like I said, it's all in German. But and you have to follow a lot of subtitles on it, and there's a lot of great visuals and great audio. The
Mm.
sound and video. The visuals and sound are really great in the movie, but just following that whole storyline, it's a really dark kind of storyline there. But it was nice to see that they're going to release it on Criterion though.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I'm excited to see Peeping Tom on 4K. So
yeah,
that was a nice, like, I wasn't expecting that one to get a 4K upgrade, because there's been a couple now that have like recently. The Devil and Daniel Webster was another one, which I think it's it has two titles. I think they re-released it on Blu-ray with the title of All That Money Can Buy.
right.
Um, and But the Devil and Daniel Webster, I recently watched that on DVD, and it's a fantastic film.
You know,
And it's kind of just fun seeing some of the older things, come back and get upgrades, which is always fun. But it's always a struggle for someone like me who's trying to buy all of the Criterion, because I have to kind of go back and forth if it's worth upgrading yet, or just keep moving forward with
yeah,
ones that I don't have yet. But I figured kind of what I'm going to go with is just just keep buying as like what format is available at the time.
right.
Obviously, if something gets released that I don't have yet and it's on a higher format like Blu-ray or 4K, I'm going to get the Blu-ray or 4K. But um, I figured get to spine number 1,000 roughly, and then maybe I'll go back through and upgrade everything. But
Wow.
for now, I'm just going to be buying the highest possible formats at the time. But
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, I think that's really cool. You're gonna get all those titles. Like there are some like through Paramount that I've got that are out of print, like Harold and
mm,
Maude, Rosemary's
mhm,
Baby. I bought Nashville not too long ago.
mm,
I've enjoyed all those. And I didn't really have to pay that much for them. They were kind of expensive on like eBay,
mhm,
but there's quite a few out of print titles that I don't know if it's on DVD. I'm not sure if I would upgrade it necessarily to Blu-ray or 4K. But there's quite a few. I've got some. I actually upgraded like most of my Criterions that I had on DVD because I started. I'm like 50 years old, so I started collecting Criterion like in the late 90s,
oh yeah,
and
yeah.
there's like three titles that I was able to upgrade everything except for three titles that have only been released on DVD. So I'm not going to get rid of these because I like these movies a lot, and a couple of these at least well two of these I own on Blu-ray, like on other formats, but
Mhm,
one is Chasing Amy, Kevin
mhm,
Smith movie. I have this
mhm,
on Blu-ray as well. But that was I think this was probably the first Criterion I ever bought. And
mhm.
back then, DVDs even at Barnes and Noble were like $40.
Jeez.
It was unbelievable. And I've stopped buying Criterion's for a long time
Mhm,
until the Bruce Lee box set was released, and
okay.
that's when because I'd been looking for those on Blu-ray for a long time. And then I saw that Criterion was releasing all of them in one set. Thought that
Mhm,
was great, and so it got me into it again. I'm not sure how long Barnes and Noble's been doing the 50% off sales. At some point, I learned about that, and I thought, wow, I've been told that's been around for maybe a decade, maybe less. But if
okay.
that had been around, I probably would have never stopped buying, collecting them. But I have
Mhm,
like Life of Brian,
mhm.
Monty Python's Life of Brian. I have this on
Oh yeah.
Blu-ray as well. And then there's another one when I talk about this a lot, this is if you know who Terry Zwigoff is, the guy that did Ghost World, and
Okay.
he did a couple. He did Crumb, which is one of my
Mhm,
favorite documentaries.
mhm.
But his first movie was actually called Louis Bluey. This is
Okay.
it's like only like an hour long,
Mhm,
but it's really interesting. This guy he was like a blues or jazz musician, and he lived to be like 93. And he played a lot in like Chicago and Detroit, and I like this movie a lot. It's takes place in Chicago. It's filmed like shows like Chicago, like 1984, 85, sometime in that period, and so I like this movie a lot. But I wish Criterion would upgrade this to Blu-ray, even though it's. I think you can actually still buy this movie through DVD on their site and on Amazon. They still I don't know if they still manufacture them or not, but you can still buy it. So but I wish that Criterion would give us a Blu-ray upgrade, which it's not
Yeah.
a real popular title, but I wish they would do that though, because I would really love to buy it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I there's what one is it? It's always like frustrating when I would buy like a out of print DVD, and then I hear, a little bit later that it's getting released on Blu-ray or they got the rights back or whatever. But
Yeah,
yeah, I think I'm trying to think of like what the most expensive out of print title I got was that I'm like, there's part of me that wants like, I mean, movies like, no, I don't know. I mean, this was kind of like this. I think this was like $80 or so.
wow,
This blue or pack. I mean, these would look fantastic on Blu-ray, but I would feel like horrible that I bought, spent $80
yeah,
on this, and
right,
now it's getting a Blu-ray. But I don't know. I just try not to think about it too much
yeah.
sometimes. Um, but do you? I guess you kind of you might. I mean, this might have been your answer already, but you mentioned the Bruce Lee box sets. Would you say that you have a favorite Criterion box set that they've released?
Yeah, it's probably the Bruce Lee one.
Okay.
I like the Before trilogy as well, but
Hmm.
because I owned all these movies on DVD, so like I said, a lot of these were upgrades from DVD to
Yeah.
Blu-ray. So it was a no-brainer, like to get them on
Hmm.
Criterion and get them on Blu-ray. Much better upgrade and quality. And so I like the first two a lot in the trilogy,
Oh
and the
yeah.
third one I liked a lot, but they're arguing a lot in the movie, and it's
Yeah.
just the magic that was in the first two movies just isn't there in the third one. But some people like
Yeah.
the third one because it's more, I guess, true to life, the kind of thing. But I enjoyed their chemistry more in the first two movies in the Before trilogy. But yeah, the Bruce Lee box set was like I said, it brought me back into the collection. So and I love those movies. So yeah, how many titles I have? Right now, I have about 150 Criterion titles, and I have a list on my phone that I just keep adding to, and we're going to talk about there's a possibility this coming Tuesday there may be a Criterion flash sale coming.
Hmm.
Um, I go through Cinema Dave Media as like my link. He usually gets like a coupon from Criterion, and he said he didn't receive it this weekend or this past week, but he does feel that there's a possibility there could be a sale this Tuesday because he's noticed that the prices have been coming down quite a bit on Amazon on a lot of the Criterion titles. Um, so it's possible it may be a week from Tuesday. It's still with that close to the end of the month there. But I always thought the February 20th would have been the ideal date because there are like three titles coming out all on the same day, which is it's kind of rare that they all get released at the same time. But but that was my prediction, but I could be wrong about it. But it wouldn't surprise me on Tuesday morning if we hear there's a sale because it's 24 hours, so it's a I had to get on it right then, and I'm always really excited to. I have like three titles that I already have lined up to buy, and I don't know if I want to necessarily say what they are, but I could mention what they are. I don't know if they're really great titles. Everybody there's one is Romeo and Juliet, which is one I've wanted to
Hmm.
get for a while. One is called was it Mikey and what's the one with Peter Falk? I've got on my list here, but there's one Mikey and Nikki, I think it's called, with a you know it's got an interesting cast to it. Another one would be Train Spotting, which I think did you buy Train Spotting on
I did
4K?
not.
Okay,
No. But I did post about it on my
right,
Instagram, which I have mixed feelings about the packaging.
yeah. A lot of people don't like
It's
it.
yeah,
Maybe it'll get released later on a better packaging, but I
yeah.
think that
Which
I may end up just buying it on Blu-ray because I've seen the packaging and it just like looks like really flimsy. It looks like the cardboard would really tear apart. So I may end up just buying it on Blu-ray,
yeah.
possibly. So a lot of times I've heard people complain about some of the Criterion's 4K releases. Like Mean Streets. Some people have talked about how it doesn't look that much better on 4K than it does on Blu-ray. But some of the lighting in that movie,
Mm-hmm.
the really dark reds, that kind of stuff. So I bought that on Blu-ray. So I'm kind of happy I did, because after I heard people complain about the picture quality on 4K, I was like, what's the point of buying this on 4K if it's not going to look that great? So
Mm-hmm.
you know, what's some titles you might be looking at, or do you want to wait until they get released?
Um, I keep going back and forth because I have a gift card to Criterion, and so
Yeah,
um, I'm going to be using that. But I keep going back and forth if I want to be, maybe getting like 4 DVDs or just like a couple Blu-rays or, maybe just a couple 4Ks. But uh, actually
right,
pick up. But it's always a struggle too because since I am trying to get all of them, I've been kind of like going in order of like purchasing things. Obviously, if
right,
something gets released, like Inland Empire a few years ago, or I guess it was about a year ago, that got released, and that was like a must. First
right.
time I would pick it up. But I've been trying to just buy them in order, and so right now I'm like right around which I have like a notebook of everything. And let's see, I'm right around like the 250 mark or
Yeah,
so. Um, and so I think, I mean, Scenes from a Marriage, that is one that's, I keep going back and forth. If I need to pick it up, but I mean, I technically have the movies in
oh
this,
yeah,
but I would
okay.
like to get it in the individual release because it has the spine number.
Right.
So I don't know. I'm going back and forth with that, but um,
Yeah, and half price books. I've noticed
yeah.
wild strawberries like a few times. It's like $20 the used there, and I thought about buying
Mhm.
that a few times. But Seven Seals, the only one I have from Bergman in my collection. So, but I keep thinking about buying that. I'm not sure. Have you seen Wild Straw?
Oh
What do you
yeah.
think of that movie?
Well, actually, I have the DVD
Yeah,
and the Blu-ray.
and the box
It's a
set.
and the
Oh,
box set, yeah. It's fantastic. It's actually really good.
huh.
But then again, like anything with Bergman is just, I mean, it's all fantastic.
Yeah,
Um, but I'm trying to think. I recently watched um Blu-ray,
right,
but this box set I would highly recommend as well. It has some fantastic films in there, but I mean anything by him is just it's going to be great, and I feel like you're not going to be disappointed in a picking up really anything of his.
right.
But I still need to. I've been like wanting to carve out like a day to sit down and actually watch this. Which
Sure.
this is a longer one. There's two different cuts of. There's a television cut, which is 320 minutes long,
Wow.
so it's a little bit of a intimidating one. But then there's the theatrical cut, which is 188 minutes, which is still, not short, but um, so
And
I'll
how
have
about
to. Sorry, go ahead.
how about Kurosawa? Do you have everything from him? That
I feel like I probably do. I have I don't know if you'll be able to see it. I
yeah.
have the Kurosawa box set,
Okay.
the 25 films, which that was kind of like a really like. Actually, I got that at the exchange,
Mm,
um, and that was like kind of like a like a like a I don't know, like a trophy of like within the
yeah.
collection, because
Yeah.
it's long out of print. But I want to say I have mostly everything. I might be missing a couple things here and there, but. Um,
Well,
I think I
one
have mostly everything.
yeah, one from my list that I had for him. I realized I just discovered is out of print is Ran. I really wanted to
Mhm.
get Ran. It was on my list from Kurosawa, and disappointed. But so far, I've watched 5 of his movies, and I've enjoyed them all. Even like Dreams, I like
Mhm.
Dreams, and Seven Seal. Throne of Blood, I liked a lot. I like The Hidden Fortress, was really good. So I've enjoyed everything I've seen. I want to see Akiru. I haven't seen that one yet. I've seen the American or the British remake of it
Okay.
last year, I think it was. I like that story. So yeah, as far as Laserdisc, actually don't have any Laserdisc at all. Actually, I used to have. I've never had any from Criterion, but if you watch Criterion's Laserdisc collection, it's quite a bit different from what they have now. A
Mhm.
lot more pop titles on there, like RoboCop, which they did have on DVD at one time. But John Carpenter's Halloween was on it.
Yeah.
Jaw was Jaws on it. Quite a few. Close Encounters of the Third Kind was on that
Mhm.
the Laserdisc collection. And I never knew that as far as Criterion started making. They started their studio in like 1984, which most people didn't have Laserdiscs until like the early 90s, which they were way too expensive, and the players were way too expensive, and the movies were even then the movies were like $25 or $30 just to get a Laserdisc, and I think I had maybe 7 or 8 titles, and I had sold those. My player stopped working a long time ago, so I had these laser discs that I just got rid of. I think From Dusk Till Dawn was one of the titles I had on that, and I think Clerks, Kevin Smith Clerks. I had some real basic titles there, but nothing on Criterion though. At the time, I've only had DVDs and Blu-rays and now 4Ks through the Criterion collection. But yeah, I think those were really expensive back in the '80s. If anybody had a Laserdisc player, I think you were probably fairly wealthy, and I think the titles were not very common as far as they weren't mass produced at the time. So I think, how many Laserdiscs do you have that you know of?
I'm trying to think. I know I have a couple hundred like regular laser discs, um, but I think I only have maybe 30-ish Criterion laser discs.
Yeah,
One of my goals is to have every single Criterion laser disc.
yeah, wow.
Um, are you
There's about
familiar? Sorry?
there's like 300 titles, right?
There's a
Basically,
little over 300, but
yeah,
unfortunately, with Criterion, they released two different versions pretty much of each movie. And so each
right,
one has, for example, I'm trying to think of one like a Lawrence of Arabia would have, a CAV and then a CLV. And
hmm
so basically it means one disc or two disc.
hmm
I think it has something to do with the actual like playing or something with that. Um, but pretty much like, it would have like just say spine number 127, but then there'd be 127A. So one of my goals is to get pretty much everything across the board.
yeah,
Um, and I mean, realistically, they're not horribly expensive, really depending on the title. I mean, eBay, like you can get them for, I don't know, 10, $15 a piece.
uh-huh.
But some of them, I mean, like John Carpenter's Halloween, that one for, since it's horror, a lot of people want it. And so the price is very expensive. I was
Wow,
fortunate enough to find it for, I think it was like $30
right.
grab. Um, but are you familiar with the YouTube channel Daisuke Beppu?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we know he has all the laser discs and
Oh yeah, yeah.
Criterion. Yeah. I've watched his video where he's showing all those different variations of
Mhm.
the same titles. Wow.
Yeah.
Like, I'd never be able to get all those. It's like that would be maddening for me. That like stuff. I get rare stuff all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, actually, yesterday at the exchange, I got something that was really rare. You can find on eBay, but I think you have to put bids on it. But it's a
Mhm.
Sling Blade.
Okay.
I'd seen Sling Blade, like years ago. It had been sometime in the '90s last time I saw this movie, and it's really dark. I forgot how dark it is. It's that Dwight Yoakam's in it, and it just Billy Bob Thornton's really great in that
Mhm.
role. I didn't realize that he had movies that he did some movies before he did Sling Blade, but he
Mhm.
really the way he transformed his face and everything, and the way he talks in the movie, like it's so nutty, and it's a dark movie that I knew it's really dark, but I knew
Mhm.
the way that it ends and stuff like that. But I had not seen this in a long time, and I did like a big. I actually had a bunch of PlayStation One games that and actually Tenacious D's Pick of Destiny. I actually
Mhm.
bought that on Blu-ray recently, so I had the DVD as well, and I traded those in. I got like a $15 store credit, and so I bought this. This was really expensive there. It was pretty high, but I think if you go on eBay, I think you can see this title for I think it starts off like 850 or something like that, but they take bids, so it's
Mhm.
like they're looking for people to kind of crank up the dollar amount before they accept
Mhm.
a bid. So I felt like I just getting this for like about $25. That's $25. I mean, there's like $40 how much it was.
Mhm.
So with that store trade in with
Mhm.
like my rewards points from them, and we're getting it for I thought for a decent price. So and like I said, I had seen this everywhere online for quite an expensive price, and so they had this like there a couple weeks ago, and they still had it, and I thought no one's going to buy this at $40. There's no
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
So when I had the store credit, I thought, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and buy it, and I
Oh
got
yeah.
rid of PlayStation One games I don't play anymore. They've just been sitting around
Mhm.
forever, and So I was glad to kind of finally pick this one up. Do you have this title on DVD or Blu-ray? Or?
I have it on DVD. Actually, I have it brand new on DVD, and
Yeah,
I've yet to watch it. I've
yeah.
owned it for years. I've
Oh,
just haven't gotten around to checking it out. But
yeah. Yeah, like I said,
um,
it's really dark.
yeah,
It's like, wow. Yeah, I forgot. It's like a kind of an art house kind of movie sort of
Mhm.
thing. So it definitely it's much darker than you might think. It's not something you
Yeah,
want to watch with a family necessarily. It's not that
yeah.
kind of movie. Yeah, yeah.
um, but yeah, I guess somebody already asked this, but I had on my sheet like what was your size of your Criterion collection, and you said 150.
Yeah.
Um, so, and I guess somebody actually just asked, my follow up to that was, well,
How many
what's the
titles altogether?
size?
Yeah.
Roughly. I mean,
Um, I think I just put this up. There's like two bookshelves here, or two
okay.
shelves from Atlantic. So I've got quite a few that I haven't filled in. I don't really. I'm not really looking to necessarily just fill up space.
Hmm.
I know
Yeah.
that could be a thing where you think, oh, I got to fill that space,
Hmm.
fill out space up. And I've actually gotten. I get rid of movies sometimes that
Hmm.
I'm not going to rewatch, or movies that I don't keep a lot of doubles for movies. I try to kind of move things out and
Hmm.
kind of keep movies I really don't watch because I kind of got out of the habit of just collecting titles. Like I used to just collect everything in a franchise, like the Alien
Hmm.
franchise, when I really only love the first two Alien movies. Honest, and then the Predator
Yeah.
movies, I really only love the first Predator movie, and the
Hmm.
second one's pretty good. And what Prey, I thought that was a good movie, but really the first Predator is really the first one I love in that collection. But I
Hmm.
think altogether I may have maybe 700, 800 titles, something like that. So
Okay.
it's not as big of a collection as everyone else. But like I said, I've gotten rid of a lot of stuff that I
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
just trying to keep. I got out of the habit of just buying franchises and just
Yeah.
I think when I bought the last Terminator movie, was a Dark Fate.
Hmm.
I didn't really like that movie, and I saw it in the theater, and I thought, well, I got to buy this. It's part of the collection. I got to buy it, and it's going to just
Yeah.
sit on my shelf. I'm never going to watch it again after I watch it one time once I buy it. And it's like, why am I at that time? I only had like two shelf. I only had like one case, and then I finally upgraded and got these two similar cases. Just put them together, and I thought at that time I really had a space problem and just finding room for all that stuff. And I was like, I had that bookshelf completely filled up at that time, or almost completely. And I thought, before that, I was like, I got to start kind of purging some of my collection just to make room. And then I decided to buy the two
Hmm.
shelves. That the other one was like a kind of a tan colored uh, shelf, and I decided to just get it kind of something that would be a cool backdrop for my videos and stuff. So now I have quite a bit more room, but I'm still not like looking just to fill up space. I want to have movies that I really want to watch, and that
Hmm.
if I see them on the shelf, I want to be able to think about buying, watching it again later. But actually, also at the exchange not too long ago, I bought The Fugitive on 4K. And I still have this on Blu-ray, and I may end up just keeping both because this is
Hmm.
only a 4K. So if I have Blu-ray players in the house as well. So
Hmm.
if I want to watch it on Blu-ray in a different room, I only have one 4K. I have a 4K TV in my living room here, over on the side over here, and I have one in my
Okay.
the master bedroom. So I can't watch 4K in all the rooms. So I
Yeah.
really love this movie, and I've always loved this movie. From 1993, I think with the Harrison Ford, I think it's really great. Tommy Lee Jones,
Okay.
really great in this movie as well. So I think I'm going to keep the Blu-ray to that one, and so it's rare that I keep doubles of anything. But this one I got this one for like $15 at the exchange. I
Hmm.
thought that was really fair price if you buy it new. I think it's in 22, 23, $3, something like that. I'm not sure what it's going for on Amazon, but yeah, I really enjoyed buying this and then watching it again.
Yeah, I a couple years, I think maybe it was maybe like less than a year ago, I went through my whole collection and I just basically pulled out all of the movies that, I figured I'm never going to watch again, or stuff that I've bought shelf that I've just never actually watched. And so I definitely think like curation of a collection is important.
Right.
And I mean, it all comes down to like space because, like,
Mhm.
sometimes it's like, if you're limited on space, like, you don't want movies, piled up to the ceiling and just, making your space feel really small. I
Right.
mean, I'm fortunate enough to have like my basement that I redid to be a movie room. But before this, I mean, I don't know if you watched any of my previous videos,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
my one video where I talk about my collecting journey. I mean, it was like overwhelming at times where it's just
Mhm.
there's movies just everywhere, and it became like just hard to move around in my apartment, or if I was moving from one location to another, it was just a pain just to
Yeah.
pack everything up. And
Right.
um but yeah, I'm still, even now though, like even with a whole basement, like I'm still battling the space thing. I mean, on the floor behind me, I have a small section of things that need to go onto a shelf, but there's just no more room, so I have to either get rid of some stuff or move some stuff around. But um yeah, but
Yeah.
um
Yeah, you have like a maze in your basement. I've seen that in one video where you go like around the corner and
mhm.
yeah,
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 this area is kind of like its own, like it has like I have a whole other section of the movie room, but it kind of wraps around to this area.
yeah,
But I had to design the room in this, which I'm going to make a video on this eventually, of me building,
right,
photos and video clips of when I was building things. Um, but I had to design the room a specific way because I was working around a support pole in the for like the house. And then I was also working around my furnace.
right.
And it was just, it was just a weird shape that I had to come up with. But um, yeah, so
Yeah.
that's
So
I'm excited to do that video. But
yeah. So do you have like you have the basement, you have a ground level, do you have an upstairs as well? And,
no,
yeah,
just it's like a one story.
yeah, yeah. I don't have a basement, so yeah, and I
Okay,
have all my movies in my living room.
yeah,
Just have, but I really like when I bought these two. They took a while to put these together, but and these one thing I don't like it necessarily. It has like a space in the middle there
hmm
where you can't fit. You have the movies had to sit on their side there,
hmm
but
yeah.
it's a lot more space than I had before though.
Yeah, I have a shelf that's it's like that awkward space in between that. I mean, I use it for kind of like overflow for my TV section, which
Yeah, right.
um yeah, but I guess let's see.
Yeah.
Um
So somebody asked me if I have any steel books. I do have some steel books. I think I'm more of a slipcover fan than I am a steelbook person because steelbooks. I guess now Walmart's going to take over for Best Buy, which I know
mhm.
we're all upset about Best Buy. So it's depressing to watch videos now of people that used to do videos every week, and go to Best Buy. And I don't know what they're doing with their channels now. They have to kind of scramble and come up with a different idea
Mhm.
of what to do every week because that's what the main thing to go to Best Buy. It was always that was where you got steelbooks on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I really don't collect steelbooks per se. I collect the movies. Like Scarface, I have that on steelbook, and but it's usually if I really want a movie and it's only available on steelbook, I'll buy it. But in general, I'm not really somebody that has to go out and buy steelbooks. And now who knows how long Walmart's gonna carry those? I've watched videos where Walmart is still you watch and the end cap is almost empty. They don't
Yeah.
bother to put movies out. And then
Yeah.
Target's really pathetic now. Like
Oh yeah.
I watch Cool Duder. You ever watch his
Mhm.
channel?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
He's one of the early YouTubers.
Oh
I
yeah.
think he,
Yeah.
like late 2000s he started making
hmm
videos, and he used to do it out of his basement, and then
hmm
he once he moved out, he and his family moved out to San Diego. He started just doing these weekly. He usually starts at Target, and then he finds out. You see him go in, and he walks right out. Like, well, he didn't have anything there, and he'd show the end cap. And I think
hmm
Target's now at a point where they're only putting movies out like every 2 weeks instead of every week. And Walmart is just like my the two some of the WalMarts I have near my where I live in Indianapolis. They hardly ever have any movies. Like the one I used to go to a lot hardly ever have anything on their end cap, and just as far as movies are concerned, they're pretty much barely stock anything. Hardly ever. Sometimes like a movie gets released on a Tuesday, and they have that one movie. And you see that go to the shelf, and it's like you pull it off the shelf, and thank God they still had it. And I walk out,
Yeah.
pay for it and walk out. But it's depressing if you're a physical media fan, to try to go into a store and buy it. It's just becoming more and more rare. It's becoming an online
Oh
only,
yeah.
and boutique labels. It's becoming that whole thing. It's a lot of people like that. I'm glad that Barnes and Noble, most of those locations still have them, but I
Yeah.
try to buy stuff there more often, but it's usually the Arrow sale and the Criterion sale that I usually buy movies from them. A lot of
Oh
times,
yeah.
every now and then you can find a title you want. I think I bought the Prestige not too
Hmm.
long ago. They had it for like $10 on Blu-ray because I really gotten into Christopher Nolan recently with his, possible he's going to probably win Best Director, and
Hmm.
Oppenheimer's going to win, probably going to win, Best Picture. So I've actually gone now and I've collected all of his movies, including his movie following on the Criterion
Hmm.
Collection, which is for his debut movie, which
Hmm.
is just kind of like only like 70 minutes long, but it's not bad. You can see his editing is just like scrambled, and it's just chaotic the way he kind of edits his movies. And that was
Hmm.
like the first one, and then the Memento was the second one. The editing's really crazy in that too. It just kind of goes back and forth, future and past, and just confusing.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer is more like that too.
Oh yeah.
It's a little bit better edited than those movies, but it's chaotic how it kind of goes back in the past and future, and not sure what he's showing. It's kind of going back and forth,
Yeah.
confusing.
Yeah. I still need to get Oppenheimer on a 4K,
Oh yeah,
but I'm hoping to come across it with a slipcover
right.
somewhere. But unfortunately, the apparently the slipcover is out of print, so
Wow.
um, it's like for whatever reason, it's now. I mean, people are trying to sell it on eBay for $20, like just the slipcover. So
Yeah.
someday I'll come across it. But
Um, you do
yeah,
have you do
sorry.
have Meyer in where you live, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, Meyer. I
yeah.
actually found it at Meyer on
Okay.
4K, and that was that when it was really rare. And I
Mm.
just happened to go there on a Friday night. I think it was the day after Thanksgiving, and they had like one copy, and it was had a reasonable price. And I thought, yeah, definitely got to buy it here because can't find this anywhere else. Best Buy didn't have it at the time,
Oh
and
yeah,
Walmart rarely had it. It was just selling out everywhere, and
yeah,
I loved it. I saw that movie like 3 times in the theater. I think I
yeah.
had somewhere.
I was
Yeah.
fortunate enough to see it on a 35 millimeter print in the theater, which was kind of fun. Um,
Wow.
but I wish I could have saw it on the 70 millimeter, IMAX, the whole thing. But I would have had to drive. I think the closest one to me was like in Michigan.
Wow.
So I'm like, well, it would be like a 3 hour ordeal to get there, and then 3 hours for a movie, and then 3 hours home.
Mm.
But
Wow.
I'm just like, so. But I did hear that when in regards to Barnes and Noble, they were semi recently bought by or not bought, but they traded CEOs, and the CEO is kind of like shifting some things in store.
Wow.
Where they're focusing more on sales of books and kind of getting rid of um, all this non-book related items,
Mm.
which not necessarily completely getting rid of them, but at least Barnes and Noble around me, they have shrunk their movie section down to almost nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, Criterion used to be, like 4 displays, long, and they were always packed. But the one Barnes and Noble near me, they shrunk it down to like two little displays. And
Yeah.
even if you looked at my Instagram story, that's another Barnes and Noble, and that's all the Criterion they had was just that
Yeah.
little section. And which is really unfortunate because I always liked going in person to get the buying the movies in store and not just ordering them offline because sometimes you order them offline and like a disc is loose or the packaging might be a little beat up, and then it's like
Yeah.
a whole thing that you have to go return it. And so I always preferred going in store, but I guess now it will have to be mainly online. But when I went to Orlando, I guess this last November, and there's a Barnes and Noble down there, which the lady was telling me that it's like a display store. And so they had pretty much all like, I mean, it was a huge, huge display of Criterion, a bunch of Arrow, a bunch of box sets, stuff that I've never even seen in a Barnes and Noble, like previous to the shifting of owners or whatever. And so it's just really cool to see that all in store. But I'm hoping this next sale, I'm going to be able to still make it to a couple Barnes and Nobles that maybe they might have some stuff that I'm still missing for my collection. But
Yeah. Yeah.
um,
They keep shrinking. Like I had one that's a Barnes and Noble that I used to go to all the time. They actually moved. They moved like they shrunk their space. They moved like next door, and it's a smaller space, and they got rid of all the Criterions in that particular location. But like there's one close to my house that still has a good selection. One that's in Carmel, Indiana, which has a good have like two sides, and
Mm-hmm.
so some of them still have a decent amount, but it is shrinking everywhere. It's like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
and
I
because
was
everybody waits for the sales to buy
yeah.
them.
I mean, that's the thing is like if they're looking at the numbers of like, 2 months out of the year, Criterion are really only selling, like they're probably thinking, well, why do we keep them in store? But
Hmm.
it's like those 2 months of the year, I'm sure they are making up for the rest of the year in sales. I always tell people too, because I know Amazon price matches of Barnes
Right.
and Noble. Like I always tell people, like, shipping might be a little bit more expensive or it might take a little longer, but like order through Barnes and Noble, like tell them that you still want Criterion because if Barnes and Noble like pulls Criterion completely, like Amazon probably won't be having any kind of sale. Like they're just going to keep their
Yep.
prices right at, regular price,
Right.
unless during a Criterion flash sale. And so, it might be a little bit more convenience to order through Amazon during the Barnes and Noble sale, but
Yeah.
it's always just like, just pay the little extra, like tell them that you want them to be, still a thing. And so, yeah, I mean, it's always funny because the Barnes and Noble sale always like falls. I mean, it's always like in November, which is one of the worst possible months
Yeah.
for as a collector,
Right.
because you're just getting hit with Black Friday and Thanksgiving Day sales and just all of these like pre-Christmas sales and all this stuff is just like all coming out. But the July sale is always one that I
Right.
go pretty hard on, but
Hmm. Right.
it's always, I don't know, I always spend too much money on it, but
Yeah,
um,
I go the most in July quite a bit, but yeah,
mhm,
I buy a lot of Criterions through Walmart.com and
mhm,
Amazon year round. I mean that's
yeah,
and I find them used a lot, so
mhm,
I collect all the time. I've done several Criterion haul videos on my channel. I mean, I think I'm like 24, 25 so far, and I still don't have as many as you have in my collection, but like I go with my list. So like
mhm,
I don't know if I'm ever going to buy, like I said, I don't know if I ever have a full collection. I go with titles, recommendations from people,
mhm,
just directors I really like quite a bit. Performances I like a lot. Movies have been rated fairly high. Those are the ones I go with. I've gotten a little bit more into like foreign language films
mhm,
now, but a lot of them are English based. I tell people all the time, if you're starting a collection, Criterion collection, get a lot of titles that you know you're going to love,
mhm,
and kind of build them out. If you get something, 10, 20 titles that you love, and then get all of the common titles out of the way. Once you get past those, and then you have to start buying foreign language films or more
mhm,
art house movies, that kind of thing. That's kind of where I am now. I've gotten so many of the common titles that now I'm branching out a little bit more. And of course, when there's like new train spotting,
mhm,
obviously it's something I used to have that on DVD. I actually don't have it now, but I do plan to buy that one, probably on the flash sale for Criterion, just
mhm,
because something that I wanted to get again for a while now, and so that's why I would say you'll still see new common titles get released, upgraded or re-released. Like Don't Look Now was one that I actually bought it on. I found it on. I thought it was a Blu-ray, and then I got to the counter and realized it was DVD. And then like literally like the following week or week or two later, it was announced to be re-released on Blu-ray and 4K.
mhm,
So I was glad that I actually returned it when I was about to buy it, and then I realized it was DVD. I said,
mhm,
"Oh, it was out of print at the time," and I thought I'll just wait on that because I really want to get it on Blu-ray. And then the big announcement came, so I was glad I waited on that one. But
mhm.
that's one it's kind of an eerie movie if you've seen Don't Look Now.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Uh, like the ending, everything wraps up in the end, and it's brilliant once you get to that point.
Mhm,
It's kind of a slow build kind of thing. You're not sure what's happening, but that's a movie I probably would like more the next time I see it. I think I like it even more because it's a lot of people are like, this is not really a straight up horror movie, but then that ending's really great, even though
mhm,
some of the special effects that they used at the end of the movie, it was definitely early '70s
mhm,
kind of quality. As it's, if you know what I mean, it's just like
mhm,
the quality of like blood, that kind of stuff. That it looked like they never got that right until like the late '70s. I think that when
Hmm.
they how blood looked on the looked on film. Look, they finally got that together like near the end of the '70s. And at that time, they didn't. I don't think they knew how it would look. Like if you watch Black Christmas, how
Hmm.
the blood looks in that movie, it looks so so fake. And I think they finally figured that out later. How blood he had mixed the chemicals that they used to make blood look real on film. I don't think they knew how to do it back then until maybe the late '70s. You know,
Yeah. Um, so speaking of, I guess this is kind of out of print. Oh, it was out of print. Now it came back as Don't Look Now. But what would you say would be like the hardest to find item within your collection?
well, Harold and Maude, and just those out of print titles,
Oh
Harold
yeah.
and Maude and Rosemary's Baby. You can buy those through Paramount
Hmm.
because they took over. Basically, they ended the license, or the license ended with Criterion,
Hmm.
and they decided they're going to take it over and re-release those through Paramount. And I was like, I don't just want the movie; I want to get them on Criterion. I don't.
Hmm.
So I ended up buying them like on eBay and paying a little bit extra, but it might have been like around $50, something like that, somewhere in that range, maybe a little bit less.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was worth it. I was happy. I liked Harold Lamont quite a bit. Love
Hmm.
that character. His obsession with horror movies and stuff like that was really great. So
Yeah.
I'm glad I
I
bought it. And
yeah.
Nashville too. I thought Altman. I think I enjoyed that movie too. Like it's one
Hmm.
I had to watch a couple of times to kind of get used to it. And but I like his style to some degree, like Mash, what Robert Altman did. I got the Player. I have that on Criterion. I have was it Shortcuts? I think it was the one.
Hmm.
It's like a 3 hour movie, and I really enjoyed that movie, even though it was
Yeah.
despite it being really a long movie. I love that the whole. There was like 26 characters,
Mm.
and they kind of had to wrap up all those stories, and so you kind of understand why it was that long of a movie. But I
Yeah.
enjoyed that movie a lot, though, and it has so many Hollywood stars. Robert Downey Jr. is in it, and before he became a big time star. Or was that 1990, 91, something like that, or early 90, yeah, 91, I think. The Player was in 92, so but I enjoyed that movie a lot. So he's got a different style.
Hmm.
It really kind of a social commentary kind of style that he has, and do you know you have a lot of Robert Altman movies? And
Not a ton. I'm not sure which ones I do have or not, but I don't have Nashville,
yeah,
which I'm kicking myself because I remember being in Barnes and Noble, seeing it there,
yeah.
seeing the version I want is the Blu-ray DVD combo. Um, and I saw it there and I almost grabbed it, but I didn't. But I was fortunate enough to grab during one of the sales back in the day. I was fortunate enough to grab Rosemary's Baby, Harold Ahmad, and
Yeah.
Don't Look Now. But pretty much,
Wow.
I think those were all during the same month.
Wow.
And
Okay.
then it was like, a year later or whatever, they were all out of print.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
I
been,
don't know. Do you watch the
um,
Misfit Pond with Carlos? Do you know that channel? He does a lot of
no.
Criterion hauls. He's
Okay.
like he does his haul videos for Criterion when he goes to Barnes and Noble.
Hmm.
Some of my favorite videos he does on his channel. Just he and like one of his friends will just grab a stack of Criterions, and then they'll kind of go with the ones that must own. But he was
Hmm.
like, this is like I think it was right before Harold and Maude was out of print. Before it
Hmm.
went out of print, he had that in a stack, and he just decided, I think I'm going to put this one back, and and I think it was literally out of print like within a month or two later. It was out of print.
That's
So and
unfortunate.
he mostly just does like July and November
Hmm.
Barnes and Noble sale hauls, for Criterion. So it's a like when I saw that, like, oh, you got to pick that up. And he doesn't have Harold Ramad in his collection because he passed up on the before it went out of print.
I was fortunate enough to find a copy of Rosemary's Baby at Half Price Books for
Yeah.
$20.
Wow.
And so I usually don't keep Criterion like sealed.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, I kept Rosemary's Baby sealed.
Oh yeah.
And when I got it from um, Barnes and Noble that one time, I kept it sealed because I'm like, well, I've seen the movie, I don't need to open it right away. I also had this bad habit of buying stuff and then just put it on the shelf without opening it.
Yeah.
but I was glad that I didn't open it because then it went out of print. Well, I'm like, well, now I'm definitely not going to open it. Um, and then I came across it used at Half Price Books for $20, and so I bought that, and then I just sold off my brand new sealed copy because I'm like, I don't need it sealed.
Yeah.
And I was able to actually make money on the whole thing, which was
Oh wow,
nice.
that's
But
cool. Did you get
yeah,
like $40 or $30 something
I
like
think I
that?
got
Or,
it. I want to say it was like 40 or 50. I think that I
wow.
got. I don't really
Wow.
remember, but yeah, it was still like kind of nice because then I was able to use that to buy another Criterion that I was missing. So,
Wow.
um, but
Have you ever thought about starting like an eBay store and selling some stuff over?
I thought of that. I honestly, do you know of Cinema Sickness at
No,
all on
I
YouTube?
don't think so.
Um, he like I guess he like has changed his channel now to like retro rest stop or something.
Okay.
But he had an Instagram store where he would like sell off movies and stuff. He did a lot of like um,
Yeah.
buying and selling and stuff like that. But he had an Instagram store where he would sell off stuff. And I thought about doing something like that, but I just feel like I don't have like a constant enough flow of
Yeah.
items that I could, sell off. So I mean, every now and then I'll sell things on eBay, but it's not like consistent enough.
Right.
Um, so maybe someday I'll have a Kyle's movie collection store
Yeah.
or something. I don't know,
Well,
but
one thing I've learned this like last year and earlier this year, if you go on Facebook Marketplace, is a good
mhm.
place to sell
Oh
stuff
yeah,
on there.
yeah,
I've made money off of that, just having people, people have to come to your house basically, or you have to meet them somewhere and
yeah,
and have
yeah,
them look at stuff. But that's kind of a good place if you don't want to start an eBay store, you can start a
yeah.
Facebook marketplace. I know Facebook's not as popular as it used to be. Obviously, I stopped using Facebook, and I've kind of gotten back into it a little bit now, but
Yeah.
for a long time because of the stuff that happened and like pandemic and that kind of stuff, I just kind of got sick of getting on there, and I really got into YouTube a lot, and so
Mm,
that was my social media, just going through YouTube and talking to subscribers.
mhm,
But yeah, somebody asked, do you think DVD is still relevant in 2024? As far as picture quality, I don't really love watching DVD as much as I used to, but I like Blu-ray and 4K more than anything. There are some DVDs, depending on the player and the TV that you have, can actually be upgraded quite a bit in quality as way it gets up converted.
yeah.
And I think a lot of DVDs now are made with a better quality, picture quality than they used to be. So you can get DVDs that are still so worth seeing, and obviously Walmart, they still release a lot of movies from young filmmakers that don't have a lot of money to put out Blu-ray or 4K,
Mhm,
and they'll just release stuff on exclusively on DVD,
mhm,
and that's a lot of Walmart locations still do that. So I respect that as far as young filmmakers trying to make money off of that. For me, just the quality I like so much on Blu-ray, and now 4K. I've just gotten into those now, so quite a bit more. I do have quite a few 4Ks, but I think most of my collection are Blu-rays. I do have DVDs like up here, some of the ones I've upgraded, or the ones that there's some movies that have never been released on Blu-ray. If you want to buy them, they're going to be on 4K. They're going to
mhm,
be on just DVD. You have to go with that format. If so, some of the ones I already have, I'm not going to get rid of those like the three Criterions. I'm still going to have those because some of them have just never been released on Blu-ray. So you have to like a lot of music, like a lot of music related stuff that I bought back then, like the '90s and 2000s. They've never been released on Blu-ray, so if I can get rid of them, but I still kind of want to have them so I can just kind of watch them from time to time. But for the most part, I don't really buy a lot of DVDs anymore. But that's the one thing that, like I say, that's probably the one major thing that's preventing me from getting all the Criterions, because if you look like a Spartacus, you can still buy
mhm.
that. Last time I checked, you can still buy that on Criterion.com, but
Mhm.
it's only on DVD. So
Yeah.
I have Spartacus on Blu-ray, but if you want to
Yeah.
buy it on Criterion, you got to buy it on DVD. So
Yeah.
it's
Which
amazing to see that, like Louis Bluey, to see that you can still buy some
mhm.
movies, but they're only on DVD.
Oh, yeah.
It's amazing that the license hasn't run out on those, that they can still sell them on DVD, and never upgrade them. I guess they don't have the license to sell them on Blu-ray, I
Yeah.
guess, or upgrade them. So it's really strange how that all works.
Which I know technically speaking, like DVD is still leading
It
in
is.
sales.
Yep.
Which I mean, I kind of I think of like DVD as like it's either for, I mean, stuff like Criterion, that like stuff that it has only been released, which since I'm like, I'm trying to get all of them. I'm still buying Criterion DVDs. But then also with that, it's like if I'm at stores like used, stores like the Retro Attic or like the
Yeah.
Exchange or Half Price Books or stuff like that, and I come across a movie that I want to see, but it's only on DVD, like even though I know that out there is a Blu-ray that exists, like
Mhm.
sometimes I will just buy the DVD because
Yeah.
I just want to see the movie.
Yep.
Um, but I don't know, if usually if I'm like at like a Best Buy or like a Walmart or something and I'm holding both the DVD or the Blu-ray, like I'm usually going with the Blu-ray.
Right.
Um, but yeah, I'd say overall, I would say that DVDs are still relevant in 2024.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I even today I just watched a VHS tape, which
Right. Yeah.
I feel like it's still like
Yeah.
it doesn't necessarily matter what format it is. I think what matters more is like the actual film. Because I know it's like, I mean, people can get like really caught up in the, well, I have to own everything at the nicest possible formats, or
Right.
with like with say Train Spotting, there's a 4K, but then there's also a Blu-ray. Like I still have my DVD. And I probably won't be upgrading anytime soon.
Right.
I would like to, but I just have it on DVD. That's not even Criterion, obviously. And so, um, someday I'll upgrade it, but it's not a movie that I'm necessarily watching multiple times. That's, I need to get the nicest format. Um, but I don't know. I feel like, I mean, the Retro Attic is a nice
Yeah.
example because like he has DVDs for $1, and so
Yeah.
um, sometimes I'm walking out of there with, 5, 6, 10 DVDs of things that, stuff that I've just wanted to see for a while, or, I might have watched the trailer and it looks interesting, so I just want to grab it and just check it out. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, I was gonna ask you about the Retro Attic because,
mm,
I watched that video where, like, you interview the owner of the store, right?
mhm,
And even though it wasn't live necessarily, but
yeah,
you did some interviewing there, and that place, like, is that it's in, like, Akron, Ohio, I think,
mhm, yeah,
and, that's really interesting, like, it's a big store, it looks like they only have, like, 1 employee, like, the
yeah,
owner,
yeah. I
but
mean, his daughters work there a couple
okay.
times, I think, but yeah, it's mainly it's his like full-time thing. So, um,
Well, yeah,
but
I was really impressed with his inventory. Like, I could definitely spend hours checking that stuff out. But I wonder
oh yeah.
what kind of security does he have there?
Oh, he has, I mean, he has the whole, like, security system up, and
Okay,
he has, insurance on the whole thing, and,
yeah,
I mean, I know because he's talking about, he recently was able to secure the downstairs, so
hmm
it's like, in the video, you can kinda see, like, the whole building,
yeah,
um, and so he has, like, the upstairs now, but the people at the under the downstairs are leaving, and so he's being able to take that over,
right.
um and so he's actually going to be expanding his whole thing where he's going to have like a whole horror room, not just
Wow,
necessarily like one horror wall, but um and I don't know, I'm excited for him because it's going to be much bigger, and so
wow,
um yeah, I love going there. Anytime I go there, it's definitely like a couple hour ordeal. It's not like a quick just run in and buy one thing. It's like I have to look at everything, and
it's an
um
experience.
yeah. I mean, he's constantly getting great stuff in. So if you're ever in the Akron, Ohio area, I highly recommend checking it out because it's well worth the trip. But
So did he have
um,
anything on the ground level, or was it all upstairs?
it's
Like,
all upstairs.
okay,
Yeah.
so he can kind of secure that and no people they're
Yeah.
walking. I mean, you have to go downstairs to pay for it, right?
No, no, you pay upstairs, and
Oh, okay.
yeah. So
That makes sense. Okay, that makes
yeah.
sense. I thought, what kind of security does this guy have? I'd be afraid people will just walk out with stuff all the time. That'd be kind of
Yeah.
scary. Even though he says he buys a lot of stuff for a reasonable price, and
Hmm.
kind of he doesn't. He said his prices are fairly reasonable. I mean, he
Hmm.
said he
Oh
pay like
yeah.
$1 for a DVD, that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
I mean, he has like obviously like if it's a Criterion, it's going to be a little bit more than $1. Like,
Yeah.
but I would say overall, like just say if it's selling on eBay for $10, it would be 7, $8 maybe in a
Wow.
store. So and that's like selling price without shipping included. So, it might sell at $10, but then might have $5 shipping. So
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting a pretty good deal on everything, including like vinyl and all that kind of stuff. So
Wow.
I mean, I'm not into really vinyl all that much, but
Yeah.
I know, like, I mean, every time I'm there, people are, going through all the vinyl bins and stuff. So,
Wow.
it seems like it's a good flow of like new inventory, but um,
How much do his Criterion's range? You know, Blu-rays and
um, it kind of depends. Usually, he'll like point out to me like, because I'm like kind of friends with him. Like, I mean, I've
yeah.
known him for years now.
Yeah.
But even before he had his store, he used to do like garage sales and stuff. So that's how I met him, through a garage sale. But um, I'd say like, I'm trying to think of a good example of. I mean, 'cause that's why I have like a copy of on DVD of Wild Strawberries, is
Right.
because it was like this grouped with like, I don't know, a few other ones that he had. I don't think any of them were out of print, but I think it was like $12 for like five or so.
Okay.
So it was pretty good pricing. I mean, in comparison to like what they would sell for, um, you know, in the or during the sale. But like, I know right now he has a couple copies on
Right.
Blu-ray, and I think those are, I mean, those are brand new. And I think he's asking 20, might
Okay.
be less than that, 18 or 20, I want to say.
Yeah.
Um, so it kind of just depends. But
Usually half price books are usually for Blu-ray Criterion's are usually $20. You know,
yeah.
a lot of times I'll do a trade in and get some off of that. And
Hmm.
there was one day I saw he had like two copies. One of the local half price books. They had like two copies of RoboCop, and they were like
Hmm.
$15 each on DVD. I
Hmm.
already have RoboCop on Blu-ray, but it's
Hmm.
never been released on Criterion Blu-ray. But
Hmm.
I thought about it. Like I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole as far as buying more Criterion DVDs and
Oh yeah.
for RoboCops. Like it's not something I would watch. But if I were close to collecting all the Criterions, I
Oh
might
yeah.
pick it up. Yeah, I might pick it up if I had that. But it's like I'm not going to start collecting DVDs just to have them. But like I said, I think it's cool. You have, like you said, they have like 1 through 250 almost. You have almost all the titles.
Roughly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's like, try to do this, I guess, take this off quickly. Um, so I have like way more than that.
Yeah.
Because it ends right around here in the 250s, but then this shelf is also like, and like down to, so one, two, three, four, five, like total shelves. And
Right.
so I have like roughly, I would say, about half the collection.
Right.
So it's around 600 spine numbers or so. Um, but yeah,
That's
it's
impressive, though. That's impressive. I mean, we know Elliot was it uh, boutique Blu-rays with Elliot Cohen. We know
hmm
he's in England. Like Dice
hmm
K, he lives in Los Angeles now, but
hmm
he was in Japan forever.
Oh
He
yeah.
talks about it, how he can get a lot of Criterion's used,
hmm
some of the stores there, and Elliot Cohen, he he did a video where he went to like a local store, and then they had a
hmm
ton of Criterion's there, and a lot of American titles and stuff like that.
hmm
And so that's how he I guess he goes to like a website where they import Criterion's, and he doesn't have to pay a lot for
hmm
shipping, that kind of stuff. So if you've seen he did a video. I think he has about 600 titles, or maybe close to 700 now. And he did a video where he talked about every title, and it lasted like 2 hours. Went
Jeez.
through every title, and I think he and his wife went to New York last year or year before that,
hmm
and he picked up some titles there. He didn't for a long time. He didn't have Moonstruck, which
hmm
to me is like the basic title. I think I was happy to own that one. He finally did buy Moonstruck, but he's really impressive collection to have that many titles.
Oh
And
yeah.
like I said, I'd love to see Dice K. They say he has every Criterion on like
hmm
DVD or Blu-ray or 4K. But watching him do this video, he didn't really go through every title. He just kind of showed a
He
video
he
image
does
of
have some like he has like a playlist on his channel where he
okay,
goes through every single I think it's like they're broken up into like different videos, um but he has like, I mean, for like the Wild Strawberries example, he'll have both of them because of the different logos on
yeah,
them.
yeah,
So
right, right.
but
Yeah,
which
the old Criterion logo that had the Criterion collection on the top.
mhm.
Yeah, that was definitely old school. Like I said, this is my first Criterion, which is it kind of means it kind of special to me to have
Mhm.
that. But I would love to get this on Blu-ray through Criterion if they. I don't know if they'll ever release Chasing
They
Amy
haven't
again.
now,
They
just
probably
DVD.
won't. Yeah, they probably won't ever release it again
Probably
because
not.
it's owned by Miramax. So I don't think
Mhm.
Miramax titles through all different companies are hard to find
Mhm.
just because it's Miramax and all the legal problems they've had.
Oh yeah.
I think Harvey Weinstein. I think he's owns control over those, and so it's
Oh yeah.
hard to get a
It's a
lot of
mess.
Blu-rays. I think From Dusk Till
But
Dawn is an example
mhm.
of if you know From Dusk Till Dawn was supposed to get released on 4K like October 26th of 2021,
Okay.
and I've got a funny story about From Dusk Till Dawn because I used to have it on the really basic Blu-ray that they have, which has no special features at all. And I have it on
Mhm.
the DVD. It's like 2 disc DVD with all the special features and
Mhm.
a commentary with Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino. And then when I heard it was getting released on 4K, I got rid of both of those. So like literally a week before,
Mhm.
and then it never got released. And I think it's because Miramax are blocking that 4K release. So I ended up buying for Dust Till Dawn on a technically like a bootleg of like a it's not a bootleg, but it's like it's taken from a European release of it and
Mhm.
burned onto a disc, and it's actually really great quality from Dust Till Dawn. So I was really happy to finally pick that up because it's yeah
Yeah, I
is
have
that
this box set of
yeah
all three of them,
wow
which
I,
I love. I mean, it's all on DVD, but
yeah
um,
I used to have like a prequel and it was a sequel and I used to have those. It's just the original was like that movie
oh
was
yeah,
groundbreaking in 1996 or whatever. Seeing
yeah,
that movie the first time was like I had no idea what I was getting myself into, and it's a great movie.
yeah,
But I have
it's
like the
fun.
ultimate edition I think on Blu-ray, and it's perfect quality. It has the commentary on it. It has all the special features that were on the DVD
Mhm.
release, like the 2 disc DVD release, and so I got sick of finally waiting for that 4K to get released. Like
Mhm.
'cause every year they keep talking about it, and now
Yeah.
it says there's no release date on Blu-ray.com. So
Mhm.
it probably will get released this year, probably in October eventually. But people have just been waiting for that from Dusk Till Dawn to get released on 4K forever, and who
Mhm.
knows when it's going to happen because it's Miramax and they
Yeah.
own the rights to it, and everything with Miramax is just in legal trouble or something like that. They won't release them for some reason. So who knows when that will happen? So I got sick of it, and I'm glad I bought the. It was like from a company in Michigan, and I was really happy with the quality of that. And so, so as far as do you have replay where you live, or do you have Mega Replay,
What
or
do
do you
you
have any?
mean?
Do you have disc replay? It's kind of like an exchange.
No, you
You may
don't.
not have one at all, really. Okay,
No,
I think it might be an
unfortunately.
Indiana. It might be an Indiana thing because they have like disc replay in some
Okay.
Indiana locations, and they have Mega Replay in some, like
Okay.
like in Fort Wayne, where John lives there. The Flickinger, the
Hmm.
Flip Pick,
Yeah.
John,
Hmm.
he lives in Fort Wayne now, and he has Mega Replay, and then there's movies with Ryan. He lives in Evansville, Indiana, and he
Okay.
has Mega Replay. But for some reason here through Central Indiana, it's like disc replay, and
Yeah.
it's just like the Exchange, only it's they don't have their stuff on behind glass like the Exchange has. You actually go and
Hmm.
pick up the titles and look through them. But yeah, it's kind of surprising that Ohio doesn't have disc replay because maybe it's just an Indiana thing, possibly. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's kind of surprised. But yeah, you have the Retro Attic, which is like better
Yeah.
than disc replay. So better prices and a better selection. So
Oh yeah.
that's all
Yeah.
you need.
What would you say would be your favorite like genre within film? Do you have a favorite, I guess?
I still like horror movies. I mean, I haven't quite, I don't think you ever really grow out of horror movies. I still like and
Hmm.
enjoy those, but some comedies are less and less common now.
Hmm.
Uh, Marvel movies, and like I've gotten kind of tired of watching superhero movies, but I did see
Hmm.
Madam Web today, which is kind of a little bit disappointing, but it's still not as bad as people have said it is. But dramas, I guess Criterion, you're going to get dramas,
Hmm.
and I love like I said, horror movies are still. Criterion doesn't have a ton of horror movies in their collection, but
Hmm.
some of the ones that they do have, like Night of the Living Dead, obviously a classic
Right.
horror movie. Some of those, but I'd say maybe drama. I gotten to the point now where I do like good performances and good storylines, and that's what you get a lot with drama. But I think I like all genres really, but
Hmm.
not as much westerns, but most horror movies. I still enjoy watching those, and they're cheap to make, and they make money, and so people
Hmm.
still. Uh, I still love watching like 70s and 80s horror movies. It's like
Oh
some of my
yeah.
favorite ones, and 90s. That period.
Oh yeah. Yeah. They I do kind of like, I wish that there were like comedies that still came out, because I feel like there was a
Yeah.
period of time where it's like, when you would go to the theater, there was like adult dramas, or there was like comedies, and there were horror, and like there was like different types of movies to like actually watch. And I feel like now it's just a lot of the same, which is
Hmm.
unfortunate. And I feel like a lot of them, like, even um I mean, like, superhero movies kind of did this, where it's like they any movie feels like it needs to be like a Marvel movie, where it needs to have jokes in it. And it's like, well, just make a drama, or just make, if you're going to make a comedy, make a comedy. Like, you don't have to make a sci-fi comedy or an action comedy. Like, just, I mean, those are fine too, but like, I just feel like, I don't know, I miss the time where there was like different genres of films,
Yeah.
and not, it doesn't just feel like they're all trying to just blend into one. But yeah,
Yeah, they don't make
horrors.
those 2000 comedies. They don't make super
Yeah,
bad, and
right.
you don't see those as much as you did in the 2000s. And like I think people are maybe afraid of offending people too much now. It's
Yeah,
like that's what comedies do. They offend people.
yeah.
But yeah, in the 2000s, Step Brothers and was it
Hmm.
Role Models and
Oh
all
yeah.
these great movies, 2000s and early 2010s.
Hmm.
Uh, some great ones there, but 40 40-year-old virgin, some of those kind of comedies, raunchy R-rated comedies and stuff like that. You
Hmm.
don't see those as much as they used to. People don't
Right.
they don't laugh as much as they used to, and but it's unfortunately it's we're not in that period anymore where people love to see dark, dramatic stories or whatever. That I guess
Hmm.
that escapism's not there as much as it used to be. I think that people don't get to the theater just to escape from today's reality. They want more
Hmm.
real to life kind of a storytelling. So that's where we are right now, anyway.
Hmm. But yeah, I feel like horror is just, it never gets old either. Like,
Hmm.
I love horror. It's definitely my favorite genre. Is, I mean, I just, um I don't know. It's just one of those fun genres. I think that there's just so much to explore
Right?
within
Did
it.
you see Thanksgiving? The
I did not know.
Eli
I
Roth.
wanted to, but I haven't got a chance yet.
Yeah, it's definitely an old school kind of comedy,
Hmm.
kind of horror. It's funny, and I'm not really a big fan of Eli Roth, to be honest. But it's
Hmm.
one of the first movies I've seen from him that I actually really loved. Just it
Hmm.
brought back that kind of style. There's a lot of humor in it. It's really kind of dark humor, but I loved it. I saw it like twice in the theater. I bought it on Blu-ray. I think it's
Hmm.
going to get a 4K release sometime later this year. But
Hmm.
I loved it though, and like I said, I'm not a big fan of his movies. I think he's a good guy overall, and he has a vast knowledge of cinema. Just his
Hmm.
film school learning. He knows everything, like everything in the Criterion collection. He knows these movies.
Hmm.
You'd be surprised like how knowledgeable Eli
Hmm.
Roth is, and he's got that Eli Roth's history of horror, which I think he's
Hmm.
really great at. Just where he talks about old school horror movies, 70s, 80s, 90s. He has a vast knowledge of horror, and he's a great interviewer as well. So,
Hmm.
and then I love that show quite a bit. I think it's on AMC, which I
Okay.
don't have AMC anymore, I've watched the first two seasons of that show, and it's really great. So I've learned to at least enjoy at least one movie from him.
Oh yeah.
But he did a great job with just the Thanksgiving concept.
Yeah. Which, I mean, actually, if you're, I don't know if you're familiar with the Grindhouse double feature that they had,
Yeah,
like, Death Proof and Planet Terror.
yeah,
Um, that was actually, it's kind of fun, because it's like he made a trailer for that, and then he
right,
made it into a, same thing with Machete. That was a
right,
trailer, and then they made it into the movie.
movie, right.
Um, so I love those movies. I think they're fun, but
Yeah,
um,
when I saw that the Grindhouse, those two movies, like it's great. Yeah, all the trailers they have in between the movies
mhm,
was really great. And yeah, the was it Don't, I think was that uh, I think there's the one that's called Don't, but he did a Thanksgiving kind of parody kind of thing, which is
mhm.
different from the movie. It's not exactly the same
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
concept, but yeah, his he said he wanted to do a Thanksgiving story for like 15 years.
Mm,
He co-wrote it with some guy he went to like kindergarten with. But
mm,
he's known from Massachusetts. He's known all of his life. He's like they're co-writers on the Thanksgiving storyline, and so I think he made a movie that I think everyone can enjoy if you like horror movies. I think
mhm,
it's across the board. I think everyone can enjoy it, and it has kind of makes fun of some younger people. Kind of I don't want to spoil anything about it, but it's a once it gets released on 4K, I think you should definitely check it out.
oh yeah.
It's funny. It's funny, and it's a great horror too. So you
Mhm,
know. It's rare that he makes a movie that everyone enjoyed, which
mhm,
most people enjoyed it last year anyway.
mhm,
Some people didn't, but I think for Eli Roth to make a movie that I really enjoyed, I'm glad he finally did that. That made something. He did Cabin Fever,
mhm,
years ago. Hostel 2,
mhm,
those kind of torture horror kind of
mhm,
stuff like that. Which I'm not really a big fan of that style of horror, but
mhm,
Thanksgiving just the humor really works in that movie.
mhm. Um, yeah. See, I have a couple last questions,
Sure.
but um, what are, I guess, either one film or some films that you would love to see get a Criterion release?
Oh well, there are actually two titles that I'm glad you asked this question because there are two titles from Paul Giamatti that I would love to see. One is called American Splendor, which is like one of my favorite movies from Paul Giamatti, and he didn't get any kind of Oscar nominations
Mm,
for that. And the movie Sideways,
mhm.
Alexander Payne's Sideways. It's you can get Sideways on Blu-ray, but it's kind of rare. I don't know if do you have Sideways at all or the
I'm trying to scan my collection. Um, if I
I,
did, I would have had it on DVD, but it
DVD? Yeah,
might have slipped through the cracks when I was
yeah,
purging movies. But yeah, it's definitely one that I've like I know of it, but I've
yeah.
never seen it.
I never see it on Blu-ray used. I know it's available used, but Mega Mike, the movie man, I don't know if you're familiar with his channel, but
I
he
don't
said
think so.
he bought some movies from one of his neighbors, and one of them was Sideways.
Hmm.
He said he didn't really enjoy that movie all that much, but I was like, Mike, you can get a lot of money for that movie if you sell it. Like it's really rare on Blu-ray.
Hmm.
But those two movies, I think American Splendor is really great. I don't know if you've ever
Okay,
seen that.
I have not. No.
No, but Paul Giamatti's really great in both movies, and
Hmm.
I've suggested it to Criterion several times. If
Hmm.
you, I think now you have to go like on an app or something like that to suggest movies to them.
Hmm.
It's like a different way of doing it. They just recently changed it. It used to be able to just go on the Criterion.com and just put some like suggestions. Another one it would be the Goodbye Girl with starring Richard Dreyfuss. He won an Oscar for the part in 1977. I
Okay.
would love to see that one. Another one that's been rumored for Criterion for years. It's called Amadeus.
Hmm.
Do you remember Amadeus?
Hmm.
There's like a theatrical cut and a director's cut, and that one's been rumored for like 4 or 5 years now, and it still hasn't been released yet. So
Hmm.
I would love to see. Those are some titles I would definitely like to see on Criterion that I think would be really great, and I definitely would check those out and buy those. They're on my list, and so someday if Criterion releases those, I'll be thrilled if they finally do that.
Um, yeah, there's like one that I would for sure like probably pre-order. I wouldn't even care if it was like not on sale or whatever.
Yeah,
But Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind
right.
would be one that
Hmm.
I think I would if the second they announce it, I'd probably pre-order it.
Yep.
Um, I think that'd be so cool to have that. They're kind of
Great movie.
talking, which it's on the Criterion channel now, I believe, that you can watch it. And so sometimes I feel like if it goes on the Criterion channel, it might maybe because the same thing happened with Inland Empire where
Yeah.
they like there was like I don't know restoration work or something, and then we got it on Blu-ray. I feel like that would be really cool to get Eternal Sunshine, but um, and as for one other one that I was really hoping for. I think it would be really cool to get. I don't know if you're familiar with the film The Devils. It's Ken
Mm.
Russell
Mm-mm.
is the director. It's a movie that's just like hard to. It's a horror. I think it's. I mean, kind of horror. It has horror aspects, but it's a very hard movie just to find in general. and that would be really cool to get. And I think there's another Ken Russell film. What was it called? Um, oh, man, I forget the title of it. I could picture the cover, but I forget the title.
Yeah.
That's within the Criterion Collection, but um, and I think having like a Peter Greenaway box set would be really, really cool.
Right.
Because I feel like all of his films would just like they fit what Criterion is. And I think a David Lynch box set at this point would be amazing. If they went back and did like restoration work for like all of
Right.
Twin Peaks would be. I mean, I know they don't really do TV seasons or shows that much, but I feel like with Twin Peaks, they could make an exception. Like that would just be perfect to have a Twin Peaks slash David Lynch set out there.
Yeah,
Um,
I finally bought Twin Peaks. I mean, I
okay.
had seen the first season. I remember that show was
Hmm.
huge when because I was I was in like in high school at the time
Hmm.
when I was released. But I'd never really seen much of season two. I've seen the Fire Walk with Me. I own
Hmm.
that on Criterion, and but I rewatched all of season one, all of season two, and I love the last season they had was I thought was really great. That the one that was on Showtime. I had
Hmm.
never seen that one until it was like 2017. I
Hmm.
never saw that until last year, and it's like fantastic. I thought it was the best I think of any of the Twin Peaks seasons was that
Yeah.
because it wasn't TV, it was on
Right.
Showtime, so it was more a little bit more violent and
Hmm.
looked more modern, than the
Hmm.
ones from the '90s. But season two kind of goes off the rails a little bit.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Which I know is because of the whole like studio interference and stuff happening behind the scenes was kind of, David Lynch kind of stepped away and it was like a
right.
whole thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, but the Showtime one, I always tell people just like don't think of it as a season, just think of it
Yeah.
as an 18-hour long movie because
Well,
that's
you're right.
essentially what it is. But
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
yeah, I go
With
ahead.
a God of Light, whatever
Oh yeah.
episode 8. Oh my god, that was a great episode.
Oh yeah.
Like, if you're not a fan of David Lynch, I mean, you can get into that.
Oh yeah.
It's dark and it's so great.
Oh yeah.
Those characters of I thought it was so great that whole thing. Anybody that watches that season, the God of Light was definitely the best one of that. And I think
Hmm.
that anybody that's not a fan of David Lynch, I think you can become a fan based on that season. I think is really really fantastic.
Hmm. Um, but yeah, I guess the last question that I have for you, which I don't know if you'll be able to answer this or not, but what is your favorite movie of all time?
Go well. I mean, I kind of go back and forth. The originals, I'd say Empire Strikes Back is one, um, and I love Jaws,
Hmm.
those movies, and obviously the original Star Wars. So I don't know. I'd say probably like in the '70s. I just recently did a '70s top 25, and I had Star Wars at number one and Jaws at number two, and like I think earlier last year I had like Jaws at number one. So it kind of goes back and forth. So it's somewhere in there. But as far as the Star Wars the original trilogy, I'd say Empire Strikes Back is my favorite there. So
Oh yeah.
those movies I can go and the original Godfather,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
Monty Python's Holy Grail. It's like top five. Those kind of movies are so I don't know if I really have a favorite. Those are all kind of really great, and I love the like Lord of the Rings trilogy. I thought it was fantastic movies. So
Hmm.
yeah, I do a list like I love the '70s, '80s, and like a lot of the '90s. I did like Tim Talks Talkies. He's done
Hmm.
a top 25. He started off in the '90s and then did it the '80s, and now he's doing the '70s. So
Hmm.
anybody that wants to do a '70s video, if you do like a top 25 or top 10, top 15,
Hmm.
send it to Tim. He'll have it on his. He does like a live stream on his channel where he compiles like all the people how they rank everything, and
Hmm.
he does this fun video. He's done it for the '90s and '80s. Where he takes like a kind of adds all the points together and kind of gives you like a ultimate top 25, and it's
Hmm.
a lot of fun. So those decades are my favorites for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Empire Strikes Back is my number one of all
Okay,
time.
there you go.
Um, and it's followed very closely by the original Star Wars, I would
Yep,
say.
yep,
But I feel like it's Empire Strikes Back, and like to me, it's just like a perfect film. Like there is
yep.
not a single thing I would change about it. Um, just everything about it is just absolutely perfect. But
had the greatest line ever. The reveal. My
Oh yeah.
mom took me to see that in 1980. I was like 7 years old,
Hmm.
and just that whole reveal. Like I couldn't believe that announcement that Vader makes there in the movie. That it had all the adults and teenage kids were all kind of like for a while just kind of talking to each other. And surprisingly, back then, you didn't have spoilers like you have now, where
Hmm.
social media will spoil everything.
Right.
Back then, it was like this was like a dollar theater, and some reason people hadn't spoiled the movie, and they didn't know how Empire Strikes Back was going to end, and it's one of the greatest kind of shocking kind of movies that ever announced. Well, it's the most brilliant writing ever from George Lucas. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
love the end of that movie.
Oh yeah. Well, that is everything that I have on my end. Is there anything else you would like
I think I have.
live stream?
Yeah, I think I've everything on my list that we've talked about. So it
Okay.
was a lot of fun. I'm glad I covered everything,
Oh
uh,
yeah.
everything on my list. So it was a lot of fun, Kyle. It's
Oh yeah.
like I said,
Yeah.
this
It was
this will
fun.
work out a lot better. And as far as that beginning of this live stream, you can always go
Mhm.
onto YouTube and YouTube
Oh
editor
yeah.
and cut some of
Yeah.
it off if you want to, just it's I always do that all the time on my live streams for digital co giveaways,
Hmm.
where I've gone in and I've forgotten how Streamyard worked, and I like, can everybody hear me? And I'm not sure. I
Hmm.
had to go through the comments and see if anybody make sure my audio was okay. And I've gone in and cut out like a little bit of the beginning, kind
Hmm.
of cut out some of my mistakes, and so the video is more coherent and that kind of thing.
Hmm.
So you can always do that if just since it's your first time doing having somebody on through
Oh yeah.
StreamYard, and yeah, it'll go much smoother as you get used to it. If you do it more often, you won't forget all
Oh
the
yeah.
all the different pieces there, and it'll be much more much smoother for you. So
Hmm.
you'll get really great at it, and you'll make a lot of friends on YouTube and get more subs that way. So yeah,
Yeah. I'm hoping to do more live streams with people. So if anyone's watching is interested in doing a collaboration like this, like I guess message me over on Instagram, um, and we can talk more there. But yeah, I guess I will end the live stream here. Thank you so much for being on here. You can go ahead and plug your channel once again. I mean, I will also have it linked in the playback description of this video. So
yeah.
yeah,
So
you can go ahead.
Excelsior movie reviews on YouTube. I'm on Instagram under the same name. I'm on Letterbox. I do a lot of every time I see a movie, I put my review on Letterbox. So it's all under Excelsior movie reviews. Like I said, I love doing Criterion Halls. Is probably my favorite. Is my favorite boutique label. It's Criterion, and I love doing videos on that. And I love finding new stuff, and I can't wait for the Criterion flash sale. Hopefully, it happens this coming Tuesday. We'll see if that happens, but it may be a week from a Tuesday possibly. But yeah, Kyle, I'm really glad to talk to you today, and talk about your collection and then Criterion. It was a lot of fun, and I really appreciate everybody that watched in the chat here. And so yeah, everybody have a great night there. So Kyle, yeah, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, yeah, no problem. It was fun. Um, I think I can put you into a waiting room, but I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to figure out how to end this now. But
I think
yeah, thank you.
if you
Yeah, go ahead.
leave studio, we can talk on Instagram if you want to.
Okay, yeah,
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 if you leave studio, I think it stops the stream. So
cool. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I'll have your all your information linked in the description of this. Um, and yeah, hope everyone has a great night. So thank you guys.
thanks everybody.